Well, here we are once again, and I hope you're in good spirits, and the Lord has been good to you. As we close out the month of June, we're now at chapter 9 of 22 in the life of George Whitefield. And it gets exciting. He's going to the Americas. So, without further ado, if you feel led to leave a comment, go ahead, and please hit subscribe. Join us daily.
Come on, we haven't got till doomsday, you know. Let's get the last of that aboard.
I must say, when you finally decide to leave, Captain, you certainly move things along.
Have to, mate. No good sense in delay, I always say. Who are you?
Whitfield, sir. George Whitfield.
Oh, yes, I didn't notice your collar under that coat. You're the new chaplain they're sending over there, aren't you?
That's right. Although with all these passengers, I'm surprised you'd remember one man. You must be carrying 100 easily.
Well over that, and not easily. Been so few trips between here and the colonies lately that I've been given the pleasure of escorting all these soldiers, travelers, homesteaders, even the new boy what's going to Georgia's a chaplain.
I'd say
you'd better stay in your quarters, Chaplain Whitfield. It's going to be a long, crowded, and uncomfortable trip. People act in peculiar ways when they're this close together for such a long time. I'll have enough trouble without worrying about you starting any sort of religious shenanigans.
We greet our friends everywhere with Chapter 9 of Apostle of True Confidence, the story of George Whitfield. This is another in the series Stories of Great Christians. It comes to you from the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago.
Exciting, isn't it?
What's that?
Sailing. Actually, I'd expected to be ill, but rather I'm exhilarated. The coastline, the water, the sky stretched out above.
And the water seeping in below.
I beg your pardon.
We're leaking down below. Probably all them people on board. The ship was meant to hold half that number.
You mean to say that we're sinking?
We would if I let it go on this way.
Well, what do you intend to do about it?
I'm putting in up ahead at the port of Deal. Got one of them study fixings to match the way to get up. I don't know that it'll do any good, though, with all of these passengers they've made me load.
I think I'd be a bit proud if I were you, Captain.
No?
I mean, with General Oglethorpe himself on board. That's a real honor, I'd say.
That shows how much you know about it. Your religious blokes are all the same.
What are you talking about?
If it wasn't for Oglethorpe and his meddling, we wouldn't have all the trouble we got on this ship. Look round. Everywhere you step, there's a soldier going to keep order in Oglethorpe's private little colony. Where there ain't soldier, there's people. Almost 100 of them. All going to Georgia to start up homes and things. Well, most of them are going over to start up homes.
I'm afraid I don't see your problem, Captain.
Now look round. You've got a ship that's all but sinking under the weight of all these folks. I've got no proper way to preserve dignity or keep order in these small quarters. I've even got a head in the clouds preacher who don't see no problem. Ah, well. Maybe when we put in a deal for repairs, you'll get lost. Maybe lots of you'll get lost. I wouldn't care less if General Oglethorpe, his old troop, and his chaplain all went on to whatever reward you're expecting for troubling the harder working of the race.
It's hard to say, really. Our ship is in the harbor being repaired.
What's wrong with it?
I say, may I come in? It's awfully chilly out here.
What's wrong with your ship?
The captain said something about leakage underneath. But what has that to do with...
But nobody said how long it would take to fix, eh?
No one said a word. Now may I please...
You'll have to pay in advance.
I'll be glad to pay in advance. Now, please, I'm nearly frozen.
That'll be £3.
£3?
There's the refund after I've checked the room when you leave. Now, come on, hurry up and I'll let you in. Well, it's cold.
Yes?
Reverend Whitfield, there's a crowd of townspeople here to see you. Why didn't you tell me you was famous?
To see me? Where are they?
Downstairs in the parlor and some spread out in the hallway.
Well, I'd better see what they want.
I told them that they had the wrong gentleman, that you was just a boy. They seemed sure 'twas you they was after.
There he is. That's George Whitfield. Oh, my friends. My friends. I'm flattered almost to the point of vanity that you should come here on such a night. If there's anything I can do, please make it known to me.
Would you exalt us, Reverend? Yes. We've all heard a lot about how you make people real to God. Yes.
Sounds like more of them.
Will you, Reverend Whitfield?
My friends, I'm moved beyond the point of telling it by your appearance here. It's a bit unusual to speak to a large group such as yours outside the sanctuary of a church. However, I have suspected for some time that the idea that God dwells in churches may work as a hindrance to the fact that God dwells within. If you wish it, I shall be happy to speak to you.
You'd better keep it nice and short, Reverend. I don't think my floors will stand the weight of this crowd for too long. That you, Reverend Whitfield?
Yes, it is. It is.
Look at you. You're all in. Yes, sit down.
This feels good. Thank you.
I suppose you've been all over creation preaching and trying to help folks.
I've been a good distance over the countryside as to the amount of help I've been, but that's a bit harder to measure than the miles.
Now, you just sit right there. I've got some good hot tea brewing on the stove. I'll be right back.
And, I shall never be able to apologize enough to you. The wretched way I ruined my health. All that foolishness at Oxford. How it takes its due.
Here we are. That's what you need to. Oh, that poor boy. Most active one of those of the cloth I've ever seen. Youngest, too. Maybe for just a little shrewd. You know he's forgotten.
What was that?
Oh, now they'll be gone and done it. I was hoping you'd get a nice cat nap.
Nap? Who's done what?
Ben, whoever's at the door. Well, here's your tea. I'll see who it is. If it's someone for you, I'm telling him you ain't in.
That won't be necessary, please.
Ben?
Please tell Reverend Whitfield that his ship is leaving first thing in the morning, if he'd like to be on board.
The ship? It's finally ready. Maybe this time I really am leaving for the colonies.
I say, sailor, what port is this that we're coming into?
This is Deal, Reverend Wesley. You'll have to go by land from here to London.
Oh, yes. I remember them saying something about that back in Savannah when we started.
While wiser, you're anxious to see your brother Charles again, eh?
You seem to know enough about me.
John Wesley? You don't. There was all sorts of talk about you back in the colonies.
That ship over there. The Whitaker.
You know as much about her as you do about everything else?
Oh, so that's where she is. Sure I know. Expected to meet her midwife cross. Lots of important people sailing with her to the colonies.
Oh?
That's right. General Oglethorpe himself is supposed to be on it. Him and a whole troop of soldiers. They even got the new chaplain for Georgia on it. Aye, that's a mighty important ship.
Chaplain?
Might hear tell he's more a boy than a preacher. Whitefield's his name.
George Whitfield?
You know him? Aye, mighty, where you going in such a hurry? I hope you don't expect to meet that Whitfield. That ship looks like it's about ready to up anchor. This letter was just brought on board for you, Whitfield.
Thank you very much. Handwriting is so familiar. John Wesley. Saw your ship as we arrived. On the way to London. You cast lots and in positive it is God's will that you do not go to Georgia. Careless people, few believers, waste of God's good time. Here's a surprise. Here's a good man telling me he has cast a lot and that God would have me return to London. But I'm sure of my call. I couldn't leave those soldiers to whom I'm supposed to be chaplain. It's hard to think. Both prospects cannot be God's will. If John is as convinced as I am about it, does one really discern God's will? Can one really discern His will for another?
I just thought I'd tell you we're about to weigh anchor. If there's anything else you need, you better make it fast.
Captain, you'd rather I didn't come along, isn't that right?
Well,
You said as much on previous occasions. You think I'll be another cause of worry for you?
well, maybe I was a bit hasty in my judgment. You see, I never carried a chaplain along before. But I've seen some of what you did here in Deal. Some of the crew was, converted, you might say.
Then you do want me to come along?
Well, I don't see how you could do much harm. The crew ain't never had a religious man on board. Maybe you might even do some good.
Thank you, Captain. You've helped. Will I have time to send a letter before we leave?
Only if you move fast.
I will, Captain, I will. And so you see, John, your coming rather confirms than disannuls my call. It is not fit that the colony be left without a shepherd. I am going to Georgia.
And so we conclude Chapter 9 of Apostle of Two Continents, the story of George Whitfield. This is another in the series Stories of Great Christians and comes to you from the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago.
That's the end of chapter 9 and the end of the month, at least for the weekend shows. And kind of interesting. Here he was aboard, it was a little bit tough, he had to wait. And then the Wesleys tell him, no, don't go. Well, tune in early next month or next weekend to find out what happens in chapter 10. We are far from the end of the story. We're almost around the middle. And I look forward to seeing you then in chapter 10. But in the meantime, it's always a good time to serve the Lord. Good time to pray for your pastor. Middle of the summer could be the hot months, especially in Arizona. A lot of people leave here, so and go to cooler vacations. So maybe a little slower, but that means your pastor might need you even more. So if you have the time to spare, volunteer, pray for him, and raise your hand. Yeah, I can serve, Pastor. I can do that. In the meantime, till I see you next time, Lord willing, I look forward to you tuning in. Maybe leaving a comment. Maybe even subscribing. Appreciate that. God bless. Have a great day.